What's up guys, this is Concrete Breakdowns here. Please take a second to hit the like and subscribe button below and hit them with passion. Today we'll be talking about Fire Chicken and his backyard fighting organization, the Scrapyard. Let's jump right into the video. Streetbeefs is a backyard fighting organization that shows their fights on YouTube. Streetbeefs as a concept is growing in popularity and sprouting different sister organizations or chapters around America to keep up with the high demand for fight videos, as well as to give fighters in different spots of the country the chance to compete. One of these chapters is called the Scrapyard, a chapter in the Pacific Northwest, mostly operating in Washington state. This chapter and its founder is what we're going to be paying attention to in this video. The Scrapyard sports the logo of the Sasquatch, because I believe you're supposed to be able to find Bigfoot in the woods around these parts of the country. And now, if you happen to not find any Sasquatches, you can find yourself an ass whooping in a scrapyard down the road. So that sounds like fun. So depending on your familiarity with fighting, you might be wondering why the hell are these people signing up to fight in the stand for free? Or maybe why you as a viewer should watch these fighters who aren't high-level professionals go at it. I go over the technical benefits of watching street beef fights in detail in my video Could You KO Scarfish from Street Beefs? But allow me to make a comparison that sums it all up nicely. I like to compare fighting with swimming. Most people only know a handful of fighters from the top of their heads. The standard names: Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, Conor McGregor. And a lot of people feel like the only way it will make sense for them to invest time into fighting is to become like these greats. There's a general thought of, I could never be a ferocious champion like Tyson, so therefore fighting isn't for me. There's such an emphasis on being a world champion in the minds of people when it comes to fighting. And that's the weirdest thing to me. Nobody thinks, oh, I could never be like Michael Phelps, so I'm not going to learn how to swim. No, you learn how to swim because you don't want to drown when you fall in the water. Because you don't want to skip out on all the activities involving the water. Only a few people in the world can become Olympic gold medal swimmers, but a lot of people can benefit from swimming. And the same goes for fighting. It's a skill people want to develop because it's beneficial. You want to be able to prevent getting damaged if you were to be physically attacked, and you want to take advantage of all the other physical, social and psychological benefits of developing this skill. You don't need to become world champion for it to be a worthwhile endeavor. I'm sure you can read about swimming techniques or try swimming techniques on dry land, and that might be somewhat beneficial. But at the end of the day, you're gonna have to jump in that water to actually learn how to swim. And if you want to learn how to fight, you'll have to enter that ring or cage and compete. And that's where a backyard fighting organization like the Scrapyard comes in. The Scrapyard provides a place for people from all levels of skill to jump in that water and learn how to swim. You don't need to pay, you don't need to sign up for any organization. You can just show up with your gloves while still having a safe, controlled, legal environment to compete. And the fact that these fights are drawing big numbers on YouTube adds a whole other layer to it. A depressed guy that is being picked on can sign up for jiu-jitsu class, train half a year, enter an MMA match in the Scrapyard, and be YouTube famous for his fight skills the next day. That can happen anywhere else. And regardless whether you're being picked on or not, there are tons of cool characters and interesting fight styles that get the time to shine only because of these Street Beefs videos. It's really fun to see these fighters develop. Following the channel gets better over time. Once you know a few of the household names, you're suddenly going, oh shit, this guy is fighting this guy, and from that point you're hooked. So one of these household names of the Scrapyard is Gumby. Gumby is this unassuming, baby-faced, skinny Christian kid.
Oh, glory to God, man.
I first saw him fight a few months ago and he was doing alright. A little better than his appearance would have you guessing. But in his latest fight, you see him reaching a whole new level. He was timing these mean left round kicks to the body underneath his opponent's punches. Really shows he's been putting time in his Muay Thai. Gumby eventually got a stoppage in this fight by using effective, patient ground and pound. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise, that's a showing of skill right there. Dope to see this humble guy turn slowly into a killer, fight over fight. Another regular of the Scrapyard is Gash. Gash is a fighter obviously somewhere on the gender spectrum. I don't see the point of getting political and go for SJW talking points on here, but I think it's really cool nobody is forcing Gash's fights to be about gender. Neither the Scrapyard or Gash is fishing for social brownie points by highlighting the trans angle. And at the same time, nobody is surprised that a person of whatever gender is completely accepted in a quote-unquote high testosterone male-dominated sport, like fighting. Gash is a novice fighter focused on kickboxing with a nice left high kick who delivers fun, entertaining scraps. And that's all there is to it. To me, that's what true acceptance is all about. I think it really shows the type of real people with a very genuine mindset that are running the Scrapyard. So the Scrapyard has fun, young, up-and-coming talent, but also some established absolute hammers like True Grit and Armand Hammer. These guys are highly skilled and would give many fighters a run for the money. Definitely recommend checking out their fights. The Scrapyard presents a good split between grappling matches, kickboxing matches, MMA matches and boxing matches. They hold an event about every month, so you can imagine a lot of time and work goes into setting all this up. And with all due respect to all other people helping out, this entire show is basically being ran by one dude. The most fiery of chickens, Steve Aguera, also known as Fire Chicken. Look at those dreamy blue eyes. So Fire Chicken basically runs the entire Scrapyard organization, from setting up the physical ring, to matching up the fighters, to the promotion of the channel. Fire Chicken was actually already running the Scrapyard before Streetbeefs came into the mix. After meeting up with Scarface from Streetbeefs, the guys decided that a working relationship would be mutually beneficial, and thus the Scrapyard came into the Streetbeefs banner. Fire Chicken has a wealth of knowledge of the fight game, built up over many years. The guy was competing in smoker MMA matches long before it was a cool thing to do. Fire Chicken has been training in martial arts for over 15 years. Started out with Go Jiu-Jitsu and has experience in BJJ, boxing, wrestling and other martial arts. This wealth of martial art knowledge is put to good use in his video breakdowns. But Fire Chicken isn't scared to get his hands dirty and still loves to compete in matches in his own yard. So let's put our analyst hats on for a minute and take a look at Fire Chicken, the fighter. So Fire Chicken's focus lately has been mainly on his boxing skills. Fire Chicken is a right-handed orthodox fighter. I describe Fire Chicken as a well-balanced boxer. You got your recurring archetypes in boxing. You got the tall, lanky boxers with the great 1-2s and range management, but are vulnerable on the inside. You got the explosive front runners who are super dangerous in the first rounds, but gas in the later rounds. But Fire Chicken isn't really represented by any of these archetypes. If Fire Chicken was an RPG character, his ability points have been distributed pretty evenly. He's pretty balanced defensively as well as offensively. At 5'9", 185 pounds, his body type couldn't really be described as either stocky or lanky, and he basically steps in the ring with a general well-rounded game. But do not mistake an evenly distributed set of attributes with bland or boring. Every fighter has their unique habits, and especially someone who's been in the game as long as Fire Chicken has some interesting ones. Let's take a look at 4 skills Fire Chicken has shown that we can all learn from. First up is Fire Chicken's check left hook.
I'm going to show you how to throw a jab. In my opinion, the jab is the most important punch you can learn.
If you ask a lot of boxing experts what is the most important punch in boxing, most will tell you the jab. And while I'm not telling you I know more about boxing than any of these guys, I will tell you that this is an unfair thing to say. Because yes, if you have the timing, the consistency, the range management, the defensive fundamentals and the footwork to make your jab work in a boxing match, it's probably the most important aspect of the game. But you're basically compounding several skills in one punch and calling it the jab. But the way you extend your lead hand itself is not necessarily make or break. If we're talking about which straight up punch is the most important to learn, I will argue that the most important punch is the lead hook. And the reason for that is very simple. Most people's lead hooks are shit. You have to turn your hips a certain way, you pivot your foot while throwing it. It's not a natural movement and untrained people can't generate any power at all with the punch. So I'm going to offer you a bit of an oversimplified example, but stick with me for a second. If you take an untrained dude from the street and put him in a mirror boxing match with a clone of himself, so with every physical and skill aspect being the same, let's say this guy is a right-handed orthodox fighter, meaning his lead hand is his left hand. Most untrained people can generate at least a decent amount of power with the right hook or right overhand. If you'd have these two untrained clones fight, you'd basically get a cat and mouse game focused around the power hand between them. Now if we take one of these clones and teach him a proper left hook, that guy would win every single time. The clone without the left hook will throw his right hand, will be forced to reset his hips to throw another right hand. While the clone with the left hook will have double the amount of opportunity to land a power shot in every single exchange. To the clone with the left hook, it's basically like having a superpower. A great example of this concept is Fire Chicken's fight with opponent Steady Eddie. In this fight, Fire Chicken cracked Eddie with a check left hook over and over and over and over again. By timing his opponent's entry, Fire Chicken can land the left hook while simultaneously pivot out of the line of his opponent's attack. If his opponent were to force himself in the pocket anyway, Fire Chicken's right hand would still be cocked back and ready to fire. It's a simple concept, but the ability to have notable firepower in both hands instead of one is truly a game changer for anyone getting into fighting. Now, Fire Chicken's hooks are some of his best punches in general. His great left hook sets up the right hook, and his right hook is also quick and accurate. Fire Chicken really has quite a knack for finding exposed temples with his shots. His hooks are definitely some of his best punches. Next up is the elbow block out of the Philly shell. One of the main staples of Fire Chicken's defense is his Philly shell. The Philly shell is a guard where you lower your lead hand and use your lead shoulder to protect your chin. A technique made famous by Floyd Mayweather Jr. The Philly shell requires composure, good eyes, and the ability to shoulder roll. It gives the user a different set of offensive and defensive options than an orthodox guard once it's mastered. Now we're getting into an adaptation of the Philly shell that I personally love and Fire Chicken shares with UFC fighter Dustin Poirier. It's the raising of the lead elbow from within the Philly shell, putting the hard chunk of bone of your elbow in the path of your opponent's punch. Basically trying to spike your opponent's fist on your elbow. Now this type of technique has an active use to it. If an opponent punches your elbow hard enough, especially from certain nasty angles, his hand will be compromised for the rest of the fight. Even with the padding of the boxing gloves, it's not a fun experience. But it's usually the passive component of using this technique that does most of the work. The opponent will notice the extended elbow and will lower his aggression accordingly to prevent the collision. This technique is very useful, especially if you're a methodical technical guy fighting a fast explosive fighter. You can really slow down your opponent's offense with it and force your own game to flourish at your preferred pace. Something I found really interesting in this sparring session of Fire Chicken was that he was not only raising his lead elbow but also the elbow of his power hand, really doubling down on the elbow block defense with it, basically turning himself into this spiked wall of bone. Definitely gonna keep an eye out for this in his next couple of fights. Next is the up jab and the variety of lead hand attacks. So Fire Chicken fights good chunks of his fights in a Philly shell, but also regularly shifts between a Philly shell and an orthodox guard, which consequently means his lead hand is down for certain parts of the fight and raised in other parts of the fight. At certain moments his jab comes like a piston, straight from the guard towards the opponent. And at other moments his jab is more of an upward flicking motion. Now an up jab does have certain qualities. The arc is different, it's quick, it hits more like a backhand and it raises the opponent's head upwards. But it's not necessarily these qualities that made me want to highlight the technique. It's how the up jab adds another layer to Fire Chicken's repertoire of lead hand attacks. You see, when you fight someone who does not have a developed lead hand, you play a relatively simple game when you're considering the options of the lead hand. Is it a feint or a jab? Is it a hard jab or a rangefinder? And once you made a few good reads, it usually gets pretty manageable to shut someone's lead hand down. But when you put yourself in the mind of Fire Chicken's opponent, you got a whole other set of options. There's the up jab coming from below, there's the body jab, maybe he steps in for a lead uppercut, then there's the dangerous left hook we highlighted earlier, or maybe just a regular old jab incoming. That's a big set of punches Fire Chicken's opponents need to manage defensively. And that's not even considering all the options for feints and different speeds of the shots. It's Fire Chicken's diverse set of attacks from his lead hand that makes it hard for opponents to read what's coming throughout the fight. The up jab adds another layer to an already big repertoire of lead hand punches. And it's this unpredictability from the left side that opens up a clean path to bring the thunder with his right hand. Last up is Fire Chicken's diverse set of attacks from the back. I'd personally really like to see Fire Chicken get back into fighting MMA, but he seems more focused on boxing for the near future. So if you want to do me a favor, please pause the video, go troll Fire Chicken and tell him boxing is for sissies. But Fire Chicken does enjoy to do grappling matches in the scrapyard, so we can get a general idea of what his ground game looks like. Fire Chicken has built up noticeable amount of grappling strength and positional awareness. Fire Chicken is a grappler very focused on taking the back. He often moves to the back after getting a front headlock, or just out-scrambles his opponents to their backs from other positions. As you can imagine from someone who likes taking the back, Fire Chicken has an excellent rear naked choke. He actually told me his rear naked choke was his best move when he started out MMA back in the days. But what I really like about Fire Chicken's game from the back is his diversity of attacks. He's not married to the rear naked choke. We've all seen UFC fights where several minutes of the clock are being burned, with one fighter attacking a choke and the other defending. Fire Chicken attacks arm bars and also sets up other submissions from the back. If the neck is not exposed, he just as easily attacks with other submissions from the back position. The risk of attempting these other submissions is of course that you lose the back mount position in order to attack, and you could end up stuck underneath your opponent. It's very common for grapplers to get stuck in the bottom of side control after a failed armbar attempt, for example. And not many submissions are as high percentage as the rear naked choke, which is of course why a lot of fighters give so much priority to the choke in the first place. But if you're a good back taker and you have confidence in your overall grappling game, you should trust in your ability to eventually retake the back after you lose position. The whole point of taking the back in the first place is putting yourself in a position where the opponent can see you, and also putting yourself in a position that's hard to reach. By only attacking the neck, you are basically giving up both these advantages. Being diverse and unpredictable is worth the risk of a failed submission attempt, and Fire Chicken puts this to good use in his grappling matches. So that's basically it for the analysis. I actually had a good bit of fun dissecting Fire Chicken's game. There's more to his game than what meets the eye at first glance. Fire Chicken and the guys at the scrapyard are working hard at improving their product. Fights used to be held in this ring with loose ropes and the fighters got stuck on them in the regular. But the guys fixed this issue by building a beautiful cage with an AstroTurf floor. All future events will be held in this cage. The prediction value around the fights is also improving leaps and bounds. The entire product as a whole is on the rise. It kind of feels like Fire Chicken and Scrapyard are starting with their second chapter, so it was actually a perfect time to take a look at the first chapter with this video. Like I explained earlier with the swimming fighting comparison, if you truly understand fighting, you want groups like the Scrapyard to do well. People need places to develop skill. So check out some fights, it's a good time and you're supporting the growth of the martial arts community as a whole. That's today's video. Please like and subscribe to the Concrete Breakdowns channel for more unique breakdown videos. Thank you for watching.